Hey, welcome back. So today we're talking about product lighting. So I recently was very heavily inspired by one of Daniel Schiffer's videos where he made this commercial about this can. So I decided to make my own commercial about a Red Bull can. Let me just, better? I think that's straight now. So this was very simple to do and it was a lot of fun. It was a really good video and I enjoyed it a lot. But one of the comments that I got off of that video said that I should pay more attention to my product lighting. And you're not wrong. I fully agree. And I took zero time with how I lit that and it shows. So my video would have been that much better had I done a little bit more to light my product. And that's where we're gonna go on today. So I don't wanna say that I only have one light because I have this light right here. I have not one, but two of these lights. Sorry, I don't think that I mentioned that I have 5 of these. And I also have that light, and that light. So, I mean, it's not that I don't have other lights, but for the most part, this is the only light that I have that is able to accept like attachments. This is the Aperture 120D Mark II. I have a Light Dome 2, and that's what we're gonna be using to light our products. So this is our current setup. I have 3 different things that we're gonna be looking at just because I feel like the light is gonna hit these things differently. So let's start off with the Red Bull because that's where we were before. We have our background and then we have our subject and then we have our camera and then we have our main key light right here. So why do we have a grid? Well, without the grid, the light kind of just spills anywhere. So it'll just go everywhere. So with the grid, it gives it these little honeycombs. So it gives it these little honeycombs, and then what these honeycombs do is they just point the light where to go. So instead of just going anywhere that it wants, the honeycombs make sure that the light just goes where you want. So in this case, it goes straight right to our subject, which is the can. So this is what we're looking at right now. Now that you know how I have my lights set up, or at least how I did have them set up, this is what the camera is seeing right now. If I go ahead and just take a photo, this is what the camera is capturing at the moment. And it should be pretty much exactly what you saw before. If I take off the actual lights, then you can see exactly what this one light is really doing. Of course, there is the lights inside of the studio, so it's not like a true one light setup, but yeah, so how can we improve this? Okay, in Daniel Schiffer's video, he didn't have like this elaborate setup. He kind of just had a light, and then he had this piece of foam core, and foam core is really amazing. I would highly recommend it. I've used it plenty of times. So foam core is just this white piece of foam that you get from the dollar store, and I would totally go do that and use the same thing, except I don't feel like going to the dollar store. So what am I gonna use instead? We have this is a reflector. It's a 5-in-1 reflector and it's big and circular. Unfortunately, I just have this really large one, so we're gonna use that. And then I have this other 5-in-1 reflector, but this one is as a flag, so you put it on a C-stand. So we're basically gonna use those. So we're gonna start off by softening the light even more. That comes onto the can, and then we're gonna bounce light back onto the other side. Are C-stands necessary? No. Do they make you look like you kind of know what you're doing? Yes. So let's go over our setup one more time. These are just a couple of photos. This is what our lighting looks like right now with the different objects. So you can see on the can, on Groot, on the Coke bottle, there's just this really harsh light off to the one side. So let's start off by diffusing that. 5-in-1 reflectors are probably one of the better investments that you can make. They're very cheap too. This one is about $60, but that's because it's, almost my height. But normally, you can get a 5-in-1 reflector for like 20 bucks. Well, what is it? It's 5 different types of reflection in one. So we have silver, black, white, gold, and then this one, which is it's white, but you can see through it. It's not meant to bounce off light, it's meant to diffuse the light. This is what we're gonna be using. This is a little attachment that'll hold your reflectors. So it's just a 1/4-20 thread, and it'll literally go on like any light stand. So if you ever need some sort of reflector or something and you don't have someone else to hold it for you, something like this is very nice. So what I'm gonna do is to just add another layer of diffusion. Obviously we have the light dome, which adds, you know, like one layer of diffusion, but we're going to come here and take this diffuser and basically just put it right in front of the light dome. What this does is it takes the light and then it spreads it out even more, further diffusing it. So let's start off with that. All right, so it may seem like it's out of place, but through the camera, it's not obstructing the view whatsoever. So the camera can see things perfectly. We now have our light dome with our piece of diffusion. Let's see how this is affecting our product. So this is the can, the bottle, and then Groot, and then with the overhead lights so you can really see how just the light is doing, we again have the can, the bottle, and Groot. So now our setup is looking like this. So we're the light dome, and now we have another piece of diffusion right about here. So now we have a very large, soft light source going on to our subject, but I have the feeling that we need something more. So we're hitting this side of our subject and we need to bring some more light on this side to just make it even. So now we have some nice soft lighting, but now we want like even lighting. You see how there's a lot of shadow on this side of my face and this side's nice and bright? We want to eliminate this shadow and make both sides of my face bright, basically. So how are we gonna do that? We are going to bounce our existing light off of another reflector. All right, so here we have another 5-in-1 reflector. So we are either gonna be using the silver side, or if we flip it over, the white side. It's white right here, you can kind of see it. Both sides basically do the same thing, but the white will reflect less. As you can probably tell, the silver is very, very reflective. I'm aiming to have the reflector like right here. So at first I was going to have the reflector all the way at the edge of the table for some reason, but then I remembered that it only really matters what the camera can see. We're using a 56mm, which is pretty nice and tight, so I don't think that the camera's really gonna see much more than right about here. So we can probably have the reflector on the actual table right about here. I think we're gonna use the white side and see how well that goes. Why is this so hard? Jesus. Oh my God. That took way longer than it needed to. If you ever wanna feel stupid, try putting putting a reflector on a flag. All right, so we didn't do anything really revolutionary here. We just put this bounce on this tabletop. This is probably way easier ways that you could do it. This is just the stuff that I have laying around. So now let me show you our setup. So, you know, it might look intimidating, but this is just really, really simple stuff. So we have our subject, we have the light. Well, I guess the light is like over there. We have our light dome, we have the extra diffusion, and then we have a bounce. And this is what the camera is seeing. So luckily nothing is in the camera's path. Like it's not seeing any of the stuff that we're adding. So let's go ahead and take some photos to see like what the camera is actually seeing. This is the Red Bull, this is the glass bottle, and then this is Groot. And then now with the lights off, this is the Red Bull, the glass bottle, and Groot. I mean, that is about it, to be honest. You can only really do so much with one light, but what's important is kind of creating even light. What did we really do? We took one light source, we diffused it, made it into a slightly bigger light source. And then we diffused that and made it into a really big light source. So now this one light source is double diffused, and that creates a nice soft light on our product. And then what we did is there was a little bit of shadows. We needed to fill in the other side of the product. So we just took a bounce or just anything white, and we just bounced the light off of here and back onto our subject. Because our bounce is large and like reflective, basically, it doesn't have to be super reflective. It's nice and diffuse light. So there's two ways that you can really diffuse light, and that is through like actual diffusion. So you're shining your light through something. These 5-in-1 reflectors work amazing. The white shower curtains work amazing. You can diffuse light by just shining light through a diffuser, or you can bounce light off of something and diffuse it that way. So we're using both of those techniques. We're diffusing it by shooting light through something, and then we're also bouncing light off of something. So with products, you want to create really, really nice, soft lighting. You don't need any of this stuff. I know I have like the typical YouTuber type setup, the aperture 120D, all of that. You don't need that. You can use can lights from Home Depot. They're about $5. You can use foam core from the dollar store. It's about $1. You can get a shower curtain that's not more than $5. You can do this at home. You can do this on a very, very low budget. You can do this exact same thing with maybe $20 maybe. You don't need any of this fancy equipment. I just am using it because I'm too lazy to go out and purchase stuff. But you don't need any of this fancy equipment. You can do this at home on a budget for really, really cheap if you need to. But what's most important is you get the concept of why we have it set up like this. But I think that's it. So hopefully this video isn't too short. Again, this is how the Red Bull looked at the very beginning with just the Light Dome Mark II. And then this is how it looks now after we added the extra diffusion in front of it, and then the bounce to add that extra fill. So this is what our product is looking like. So it definitely helped out a lot. And you know, I probably should have done all of this to begin with. I was kind of just being lazy. So don't be lazy. Set up your shots, make them look all nice, and that's all that I have for you. So be sure to subscribe, like the video if you end up liking it, and that's it. All right. I can't reach the camera, so just pretend I do the thing. All right. Oh, fuck.